And good evening, everyone. Welcome to TSSR Weekly here at JoJo's Lounge as we got a table of four young gentlemen sitting beside us tonight. Old BPC athletes of old, so to speak, sitting beside us. I don't know if we'll get any of them on camera at all tonight, but should be a little bit of fun. I'm Dwayne Hewlett, Kenny Suter alongside, and all kinds of stuff to bring people tonight. We've got new little tidbits to bring everybody. We've got a lot of highlights. We've got Bushnell's first state qualifier outside of track and field since 1984 is going to join us here in about 15 minutes or so. So all kinds of good stuff on TSSR Weekly. I was at West Prairie a little bit earlier getting Greg Phelps all set up for our broadcast there, and West Prairie won the JV game and one of the best volleyball games I've seen all season, and two, not having so much luck in the varsity contest. Last look, it was 1-0 Southeastern and 15-2 Southeastern in set two. So not going West Prairie's way in the varsity matchup, but did find out tonight that the regional is at West Prairie this year. BPC, West Prairie, and I think Southeastern are all in that regional. And as long as IHSA doesn't have a problem, we can make everything. We're going to broadcast all the regional contest games at West Prairie for the regional, so that should be fun.
Oh, yeah, especially you got a bunch of tournaments of local teams being able to do regionals, and then a good chance with West Prairie, Bushnell, and even Southeastern. We might be able to go and try and get some sectionals if IHSA allows that too, which that would be amazing.
Yeah, and of course we wouldn't mind picking up Macomb too if that option arised. I did look at Macomb's schedule. Every time Macomb is playing at home, Bushnell and or West Prairie is playing at home, but namely Bushnell because that's what keeps us tied up. Greg does all the West Prairie games, but Bushnell as literally at home every night the rest of the year, as far as I could tell, that Macomb is. So I'm not sure if we're going to get any Macomb home games in, but maybe we can pick up a regional game or sectional because I would be really surprised if Macomb doesn't get it at least to a super sectional. But, it's a lot of volleyball to be played. It's very much a game of rhythm and a game of momentum. And to start that contest tonight at set two for Southeastern against West Prairie, it was all momentum in the Southeastern side. And that's not something you see at a West Prairie team facing a 17 or a 15-2. It was actually 8-0 before they finally got a side out. So that's just one of those things. You deal with some adversity. Bushnell's volleyball team's had some adversity this year, and things have been some changes there. But, the whole key is you have to battle through those things. And you have to try to do the best you can for yourself and what the team needs from you. And sometimes you don't like what's going on, but as long as you continue to do the best you can do, then that's all that anybody can ask of you.
Yeah, and it's like the old adage: nobody learns anything by winning every single game. You gotta fall down to pick yourself back up to learn to deal with challenges down the road a lot better. I know for a fact that we didn't win every football game or baseball game that I ever played, but those were more important than the nights of going home, getting a hot chocolate after a cold game and
or
laying
a snow
around.
Cone.
Oh yeah,
a snow cone after winning your Little League game.
Snow cones after Little League.
There is something to be said about learning a lot more from a loss than you do from a win many times. And the whole key is if you have the ability and willingness to learn from that loss and not blame somebody else, but look at it, learn from it, take what you can from it and move on and be better next time. And that's one of the good things that Coach Paul has been good with her career as a coach from Colchester to West Prairie is she's been able to teach those kids those kinds of that mentality almost, I guess. I don't know if you can learn that mentality, but she's taught that mentality that, even when you have a bad game or something bad is happening, you have to keep moving forward and improve. So that's what my phone was ringing, folks. Sorry about that. But we are just about ready to go with – we got three different little neat additions where we talked to coaches this week. We have another in the cup. Jeff Borders talked to Coach Snyder about the state tournament and a couple things going on there, and also had Anna Curley on as a guest on that in the cup. We have At the Net with Coach Terry Paul. from West Prairie. That's a kind of a short little deal, kind of what I was thinking. It's got some action from volleyball practice and a couple quotes from Coach, and then we have a couple players on as well for that. Allie Arnold and Despain are both on for that at the end of that show. And then we have a 1st and 10 with Coach Roddice that Jeff met with Coach Roddice and asked him 4 or 5 questions about what happened last week, which we'll have some highlights from their loss last Friday night, and talk a little bit about what's going on this Saturday as they travel to South Fork and Kincaid, Illinois. So a lot of first stuff. You've got 1st and 10 up here.
And also South Fork, you'll be able to see a preview of them, as last week West Prairie played them in their homecoming game in what was a crazy game, which we got highlights of. A wild finish on a a field goal.
Yeah, field goal win. And if you are a friend or have seen Coach McCormick for very many years, saying Coach McCormick won on a field goal, it's probably a first and only time that you might ever hear that. He does have a pretty good kicker, though.
Jensen
Laughlin is a very good kicker, so that might have something to do with it. So that might change a little bit. And then we have, as I said earlier, Dalton Strode on the show as well. So should we start with 1st and 10?
Yeah, I believe so.
So we're going to let you see what Coach Roddice had to say with Jeff Borders. That was Monday they talked. So here's our first and 10 here on TSSR Weekly at JoJo's.
Coach, new segment we're going to do here for the Wednesday night highlight show. We're going to call it 1st and 10 with Coach Roddice. First one, we started with Schneider last week. We did with the golf team. So basically what we'll do, we're just going to ask maybe 4 questions. We might go into overtime and ask a couple more. But first off, we'll start with Friday night's game. We went down to Decatur. I know it wasn't the outcome you were looking for. What's some things that we can take from that game moving forward with 3 big games remaining?
I can't believe we're going to start there, but we'll start there, I guess. Looking at, we just got done watching film last week. We found some errors that we're doing on the line, lining up wrong, those kinds of things. We found some guys that put themselves in bad positions, so hopefully we can fix those. And I talked to you about our bus ride. Hopefully we can fix those problems as we go forward. We talked about those issues today, and hopefully we fix those. So hopefully next week, or this Saturday, we'll get off the bus a little bit better than we did last Friday.
Well, I did tell you when we started I was going to hit you from the get-go with the hard stuff.
Well, you did.
And to bring it up one more time, we go down there. I know how optimistic you were. We talked through the week. 15 seconds in, down 16-0. How much do you think that then played mentally on the kids that led to what the final score was?
Well, with the issues we were having on the bus, and then getting off the bus like we did, being down with our guys the way they are, being down 16-0 just absolutely ended the whole thing. And it shouldn't have. It shouldn't. Especially with 8-man football, we can score pretty quick, and we proved that in the second half. We can score really quick, and our guys need to get that mindset that 11-man football is no longer around for us. If we got down 20-something to nothing in 11-man, we're going to struggle. That would be hard to come back from. It's been done, but in 8-man, those points can come quick, and our guys need to figure that out. And we discussed that. I mean, they need to figure this stuff out, and they need to learn from it. And make sure we come off with our best foot forward, so to speak.
Well, I guess we'll call this the third down question. Another long bus ride this weekend. We're doing it on a Saturday. Going to ride in less comfort if we're taking a school bus and not a charter bus this time. And you just kind of touched on it. What are you telling the kids now on when they get off the bus? What are you expecting from them this Saturday?
Well, this Saturday, like you said, it's a little bit different being on a school bus. We're actually going to stop about 3/4 of the way, and we're going to get out and we're going to do our stretches. We're going to start preparing at that point on our bus ride. So we're going to change that up. Our guys just need to come out and be a little bit more physical than we have been. I mean, we even struggle sometimes here at home coming out physical. We gotta see some good things happen first before we can be physical. Well, we need to make those good things happen so that way we can be physical right from the beginning.
I spoke with Coach Zarello here before they started getting the field ready for tonight's JV game, and one thing that I had mentioned and he kind of agreed with, this Salt Fork team coming into play is one of those teams where if you come out like Galva, you can hang 30 points on them, it looks like, in the first quarter. But it's a team that West Prairie found out, you let them stick around, and they're going to be tough to beat there at the end of the contest.
And we talked about this against Prairie Heights. It's very much like that. Prairie Heights has always been that way, and this team looks the exact same way. If you can get up on them and make some things happen, I think that we'll be successful. If we give them some confidence, we're going to struggle, just like we have been. I mean, and you let anybody get some confidence, and we got to make sure, to take that away real quick, or we're going to struggle.
Well, Coach, we're going to ask one more question here. We're going to call it the overtime question. 3 big games left. I've seen the playoff breakdowns and what we're looking for. I know traditionally speaking, playoffs of the year is like, I just want to get through the season. We're going to take it one game at a time. But how much of that have you said to the kids and like, hey, look, if we win out here, if we win these games here, this is what we're looking for?
We've definitely talked about it because our kids don't understand the whole playoff concept. They don't know what it's going to take to get in. We don't really know what it's going to take to get in. We could get in with this situation, them taking the best 16 out of the 28. We could get in at the 4-5 record. Now, I told the kids I don't know if we want to be in at 4-5 because you're going to be playing the best that they have. But we'll take that opportunity if it's given to us. That's a playoff situation that some people don't ever get. And we talked about that tonight. These young guys, you don't know what our schedule is going to be like the next 3 years. We could end up drawing a really tough schedule and never see the playoffs. And these kids may never get a chance. These younger guys, we got to take advantage of the situation we have at hand where we have a chance to do that if we win a couple more games. And it's a very doable thing, I think.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you taking the time here on a Monday. We'll let you get ready. I know you got the JV game to prepare for here, and we'll let you get to that, and we'll see you Saturday at Kincaid.
All right. Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Coach.
All right, welcome back to TSSR Weekly, First and 10, Volume 1, as I'm calling it. Jeff Border's coming on, doing all the football games, but doing a few other things as well, so we want to thank Jeff for doing those things, having some fun. A couple things we heard during that little talk with Coach Rodis, and this has always been, and you talked to Coach Rodis last week about riding a bus. Mm-hmm. They took the tour bus thinking that would help. They got off the bus not happy with how they got off the bus. This week, you heard Coach Rodis say they're taking a school bus, but they're going to stop about 3/4 of the way, get off and stretch and do some of that stuff. You got to give him props for trying different things, but that has always been the hardest thing if you talk to people is figuring out how to get your team after a long road trip to be successful when they step off the bus. And I don't know that anybody's ever figured out how to do it.
I know that even physically on the ride to a game, I'd be in my head going, all right, let's get amped. But that moment you get on the bus is more exciting. But by the time you get through even when I was playing a 45-minute game or down to Elmwood, I'd be so tired just sitting there just cramped up from sitting on a bus with my pads on and everything. I can't imagine going down 2.5 hours, coming out and being ready, expecting to hit people.
Yeah, you get 45 minutes to an hour to be ready to play. You have to try to find different ways, but it also explains why NFL teams, college teams travel the day before or 2 days before and get there way early and get settled, and then it's more like routine. Because riding a bus, whether it be a tour bus or be a school bus, riding a bus 2 hours is not routine.
Not at all.
So you got to give him props for trying new things. I think that outside of getting there a few hours early and stretching and getting off the bus and getting allowed yourself some time to get amped back up again like you were talking about, getting there, and taking that time a little bit beforehand to get, and then you have that short bus ride after that to just kind of reflect on what you need to do. I think so. Maybe that's the answer. We'll see if it helps.
And I think it definitely will help getting the body moving and then also getting the mind moving. The one thing that Rodis has always had is he has a stack every week of about that thick, just full of what plays that the opponents run. Everything you want to know, he has watched the game film 15 times before we even see it the next morning. So as long as players look through that, get a bit more mentally and physically ready, hopefully this week will come out a little different than last week.
Well, we'll see. I know that West Prairie got the win against South Fork, so BPC has to think they can win, but they can't allow that to make them think they don't have to play hard.
The worst thing you can think is overestimating your opponent. It is legitimately the worst thing. I'd rather go in with a team of half-broken bodies than overestimate your opponent.
So our next little snippet will be at the net. As probably not a surprise, that's volleyball. I was able to catch up with Coach Terry Paul from West Prairie. This one's going to be a little bit different, some video and some things mixed in, and I don't know if it's perfect for the first one, but it's a starting point, and I want to thank Terry Paul for allowing us to do this. Terry, or Coach Paul, is legit one of the best coaches in Illinois high school history on the volleyball court. She's got over 900 wins, I think, now, so she has done it right, and she's done it for a long time, and she's still doing it well. So you'll hear a few changes, what she does, why she thinks things are important, and then you'll hear from Despain and Arnold at the end as well. So here's our first attempt at the net here on TSSR Weekly. All right, Coach, first time we're doing this at the net with the coaches. We're going to do Coach Paul, as in you, and Coach Bowman and Bushnell, but you guys work hard and practice every day. We took a little video of you just now before our first question, working with the setters. Fundamentals every day are important, right? How important is that for you as you work through and improve your team as the year goes along?
Absolutely. The repetition of fundamentals helps them have it in their toolkit to apply it in the match, the live action play.
All right. All right, Coach. Now we're moving along through practice, obviously, a little bit here, and this is the first practice that we've done one of these. So everybody's hitting. You worked with your setters when we talked to you the last time about, practicing setting, but they were also hitting. Everybody is hitting pretty much. How important is it for everybody to know everything or be able to do everything in a pinch?
Well, in the warm-up, that's my goal, is for everybody to do everything. And then when you call upon them in the game, at least they have something to draw on, is to be able to do it. And it's their time to improve as players. And this is the warm-up, so.
All right. All right, Coach, obviously you've been around a while, Colchester, West Prairie, and you guys you've had a lot of success as a coach. You don't have 6-foot middle hitters or outside hitters or anything like that for the most part ever. I mean, I don't know how many you've ever had, but 2 ever. So not very many. But what we just saw you doing with the drill that you were just doing, ball control, is what you have lived on all of those years that you were successful. Mm-hmm. You spent more time doing that today than anything else.
Every day.
Why is that so important for volleyball?
Because that's what we exist on. That's what all teams exist on, is their touches to make the system, pass that hit takes 3 good touches. And then you got to do it again, and then you've got to do it again. And so it's super important. I've always done this drill. It's always been difficult to do.
So you have kids today that are different than kids when you started coaching, obviously.
Yes.
I mean, some of them are kids of the kids that when you started coaching or past that point.
Yes.
So what's how do you have to change what you're doing today? Even though you're using the same drills, do you find yourself doing things a little different as far as trying to get across to them?
Yes, the goals are different. Many years ago, this Columbus drill had to be 45. So a pass set hit was 1, and they had to get 3 to make 1. So essentially 45 tips, 45 down balls, 45 hits. I do a serve and pass swing hit drill. We used to do 50. We're doing 25. Just have to change the goals based on what you think the team can manage and succeed at. Not easy, but what you think they have to strive a little harder to reach, but can still reach it.
All right.
My name is Addison Spain. I'm a senior.
Hi, I'm Allie Arnold, and I'm a senior.
Okay, so we've been here talking to Coach Paul for a little bit for our first at the net little brief thing we're doing for TSSR Weekly. You guys are doing a bunch of different drills just to get into practice. You're not working on rotation much, you're just working on basic fundamentals. You guys have a lot of success. You've had success through the years playing. How important has that been, and how much of that do you do every day in practice?
We do ball control almost every single day. We do rotations at the end of practice, but we have to do ball control every single day to make our rotations go faster.
We gotta do it every day, yeah, as she said. We just have to get better to cooperate in with the rotations to make us better during the game.
Now, everybody expects West Prairie to be good every year, and you guys have seen good teams come through. You guys are good again this year. Does that add pressure, knowing that Coach Paul is your coach and everybody expects their teams to be good? Does that add pressure on you guys as you become seniors, thinking, okay, we got to keep this tradition alive?
I felt a lot of pressure coming into this year because I played varsity when I was younger, and we've always been good. So then I didn't have anyone coming into this year that had really played much varsity. Our team is really young and we have a lot of inexperience. So this year's been difficult. We have a lot of people playing in a lot of different places than they usually would, but we're doing pretty good still.
Yeah, we have a lot of adversity. We have a smaller team, so we have to be able to have ball control and dig and always be ready, because there are a lot of taller teams out there and we have to compete.
Now, Allie, you brought up height. You guys are good every year. The Columbus drill is the last thing that I watched you guys do. That's all about ball control. It's not about hitting necessarily. It's about, receiving a hit or a serve, whatever the case may be, and passing and getting it across and keeping that momentum going. So how important for you is that on a daily basis to get that kind of work?
We do that pretty much every day. We kind of have to have that passing to get a set, to get a hit, because we don't really have that big block like many other teams have, so we kind of have to be ready for everything else.
Now, you guys do come up against some teams, Macomb and I guess Minden Unity the other night had some pretty tall girls. But you guys are one of the few teams when you come up against somebody like that other people think, well, they'll still play with them because they can still hit, or you can block, or you're just good defensively. What's your guys' mindset when you're going against those players on the other team that are 6 foot, 6'2", something like that?
I love playing against teams like that. It's great because we are shown adversity. We have to be good on the floor. Our hitting is difficult because we have to be good on defense, and ball control is hard. Yeah, it is, but we've been working on it, so coming and playing against those teams are really fun. It's really fun.
Yeah, it's really nice to get in that practice against other good teams. It makes us better as players.
So, Coach Paul, kind of old school. She's a little harder probably on her players than some coaches are, but obviously you learn a lot, and you know that she's had a lot of success. What's it been like as you guys have went through playing all these years with Coach Paul and Coach Schneider and the rest of the coaches you've had?
I love playing with Coach Paul. I would not want any other coach. She pushes me every single day and wants the best for me and the team.
I agree too. She's a pretty great coach. I wouldn't really want to have any other coach. She's really there for you. She wants the best for you and the team. She pushes you.
Well, the last question, you guys got Southeastern on Wednesday night. This will actually be airing probably during the Southeastern game, but you guys are now a co-op with Southeastern for football.
But you've had a huge rivalry with that school through volleyball for as long as I can remember. 15 or 20 years it's been that way. That's obviously longer than you guys can remember. But what's that? Has it changed the feel of the game Wednesday night at all? Or is it so new that you really don't have that feeling yet? Or
The co-op hasn't really changed anything. Miss Paul has been working with us in practice, changing our rotations a little bit. We're changing up some things so that we will compete better with Southeastern on Wednesday.
Yeah, we constantly have other people playing in different spots to see their feel so we can get a better game against Southeastern when we play them.
is it kind of fun having that small school that's close to you guys that's always really good, so you always have that measuring stick sort of every year you guys come, that Southeastern game's going to be big?
Yeah, Southeastern is a great team, and we're all excited to play them. They're going to push us, and we're going to push them.
Yeah, they're great competition to have against. They're a really good team, and I can't wait to play them.
All right, ladies, thank you very much. Good luck Wednesday and the rest of the year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
MDH has committed to having a top-notch OB-GYN unit.
The new facility, the Dolores Cater Schweitzer Women's Center, this is a quality facility that the patients need to match the quality of care.
And then we also have a new clinic, which is state-of-the-art.
And here at McDonough, we have a team. And everybody feels like they're a part of the successes that we have.
We have a strong team in our office and in labor and delivery. You will get the best care at McDonough District.
Welcome back to TSSR Weekly. Dalton Strode has joined us, and the Cardinals just turned a double play to end a bases-loaded threat with one out in the third inning against the Dodgers. And I was watching the screen to get ready to come back, and all of a sudden Dalton says, "Oh!" and everybody else cheered. So you can tell that Dalton is a Cubs fan, obviously.
Yep.
And wanting the Cardinals to lose. Everybody else is either a Cardinals fan or hates the Dodgers more than they hate the Cardinals, right, Kenny? Yeah. So Dalton Strode here to talk to us a little bit. And Dalton, you are as best as I can tell, except for track and field, you're the first athlete of the high school variety at BPC to go to state in any sport since 1984.
That's what I've heard, and that's pretty cool to think about when. Especially because I know we've had some pretty good teams in the past with basketball and even a decent football team a couple years ago. So that's pretty cool to think that first state appearance. So,
obviously, I mean, it's the second year of golf. So, I mean, you've been playing a long time, but I don't suppose there's really a whole lot of pressure on you. I mean, it's really all about going and having fun, right? Because there's no precedent set. You're setting the precedents this time. So everything you do from here on out is just kind of like, okay, now everybody's got to catch me after this.
Yeah, and especially now that you can't really go past state, and so here it's just kind of go out and obviously try to compete, but just have fun with it.
So you're all set up for a practice round tomorrow, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's Thursday, and then you got the opening round. This is almost like a PGA feel event, isn't it? Because you have the practice round, and then you have to make a cut on Friday to get to Saturday, right?
Yeah, so like in the PGA, like you said, they do practice rounds, and then you have to make the cut. And so when I heard about that it was a 2-day thing, I thought that was pretty cool.
Okay, so we were talking before we came on air, and you feel like if you can break 80 on Friday, you can make the cut?
I definitely think so. I feel like 80 is a solid number just to get me into Saturday. But, if I could come out of there in the top 5 after the first day, that'd be pretty cool.
Now, I heard you had a really good first 13 holes at Chambly, and then kind of struggled at the end, but you were like 1 under or 1 over or something like that through 13?
Yeah, after 13 holes, I was 1 over par, and I double bogeyed a par 5, and then double bogeyed a par 4, and it just kind of went – it was going downhill from there. And I ended up parring the last hole, which was a par 3, to secure me an 81, which that helped a lot.
Yeah, you've been under 80 on 18 most of the year, so that was kind of a fluke. So you can almost look at it as, you got it out of the way, right?
Yeah, just get the bad ones out of the way.
Get it out of the way, survive, and move on to the next. So I know you want to make the cut. and I'm sure you're putting pressure on yourself to make the cut, but as a golfer, and it's an individual sport, obviously, so do you push yourself? Are you disappointed if you don't make the cut? But, I mean, do you look back, can you step back and say, hey, I've done some good things in a program's second year?
I mean, I'm a little competitive myself, so, like, if I don't make it, then I'm probably going to be kind of hard on myself. I like that a lot, and so just kind of hopefully get through. But if I don't, it's cool to think that I at least made it. So
now, you're only a junior, right?
Yeah.
So you've got another year to do this.
Yeah.
Can you learn something from this first trip, or what we hope would be your first trip to state? What do you think you can learn from this to take on to next year, no matter how this weekend goes?
Just kind of how everything lays out and get a good feel, or at least idea of how the competition would be, assuming like next year, because I know a lot of the kids that I've seen are playing in state are around my age and even younger than me. So it would be nice to just kind of be able to see what I'm going to be looking forward to in the next coming years.
Now, you've played some pretty good competition all year, and you've been at numerous meets or matches against Macomb. They are at state as a team. So you've been able to kind of par yourself against these guys, some really good golfers all year long, haven't you?
Yeah, especially at our conference meet. I shot a 84, I think, and I got 7th, and their first place kid shot a 67, which was insane. That was crazy. So yeah,
that's like 4 under or something
it
like
was
that.
Something like, yeah, I
4 or
think it was
5
4
under?
or 5 under, but they're a solid team, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think they had 4 kids under 80 at the regional or sectional. So yeah, they play pretty well. But now, last spring or this spring, last spring, whatever way you want to look at it, you played football, you played quarterback, and you were a pretty good quarterback. So and we talked a little bit before we came on, but was there much indecision on what you were going to do this fall?
Not a lot. I was pretty confident that I was going to play golf, but looking at it now, 8-man looks pretty fun. It looks like a lot of fun, but I think now that I made it this far in golf, I'm probably going to stick with it and just see where it takes me.
So what's your plans after high school? I mean, I'm sure you're thinking college somewhere. So is there any chance that this golf thing, if you do well at state the next 2 years, is there any chance that you could maybe get some help with school through this golf thing?
Well, my original plan is to play baseball in college because baseball is my favorite sport, but I would play golf in college if it came down to it.
if it's golf or nothing, it's golf,
yeah,
right?
it's golf. Yeah, if it's golf or nothing, it's golf.
Now, can you be a 2-sport athlete in golf and baseball?
That's kind of what I've been talking about because I'm pretty sure they're 2 different seasons.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think golf is in the fall, right? And baseball
yeah,
obviously is in the spring.
Yeah.
They do have fall ball, I guess. But so, I coached high school baseball for a while, and one of the things you always heard is a golf swing, right?
Yeah.
So I talked to Coach Snyder about this too because I knew you played baseball. Do you have a hard time differentiating the two, or do you really see a difference between the two, or can you just you're playing baseball and you've swung the bat enough times what the difference is supposed to be?
Well, once you have played both of them long enough, you kind of get a feel for, because in golf, your weight transfers forward into the ball and you're hitting down on the ball, and in baseball, keep the weight back, work through it, work slightly up. So once you've played it for long enough, you kind of can tell the difference between the two swings. But I've played golf with friends who also play baseball, and they always say that golf messes up their baseball swing, but I think it's more of a mental thing when it really comes down to it.
Well, I'm sure a lot of it has to do if you do both of them enough times, the mechanics become normal to you. If you're a baseball player and you're trying to hit a golf ball, it probably screws that up. Or if you're a golfer and you try to hit a baseball, it can probably screw up the one. But if you do both enough times and can get yourself in a mental spot, you're probably – so you caught last year, right?
I did, yes.
Is that the position you like, or do you like what would your position in baseball be then?
Probably shortstop or third base. I like the left side of the infield, but for high school I obviously caught all season, and I love catching. It's pretty addicting, but I like shortstop out there, being able to kind of control everything and see where everything's going.
It's a lot less work too.
It is a lot less work, and it's a lot cooler when it's 95 degrees outside.
Well, you guys played a little late into the summer last year. I mean, you were used to that because I know you play travel ball and you've played in the summer growing up. Do you like the idea that baseball for high school is going to be earlier, so when you start the season it's going to be nice and cool and you're going to be playing some cold games, or does the heat kind of help you a little bit?
I like playing in the heat a lot more. I feel like I definitely have a better feel for everything in the heat because I can feel my fingers and everything. And especially if you hit one off the end of the bat or you take one off the hands, it's a lot less painful in the heat than it is in the cold.
Now, same thing, you're using a metal club. I'm sure you don't have wood shafts or nothing.
Nope. Nope.
No, you're not old school. So you're using a metal club on the golf range and on the golf course and when you're playing. So do you have that same problem if you hit a ball or when it's really cold, does it sting your hands at all?
Oh, yeah. Like if you were to catch one on the bottom of the club or say like the toe of it, then yeah, you're going to feel it in your hands and it does not feel good.
So do you wear golf spikes?
I wear golf spikes. They're not like the super hard plastic ones, but I wear them enough just to give me a good enough grip.
Okay, how many golf gloves do you wear?
I wear one on my left hand.
So you're not a double glover or nothing like
nope.
that?
Nope.
Are you a double glover when you're batting in baseball?
Oh, yeah. I wear 2 batting gloves in baseball.
So you wear 2 batting gloves, but you only wear one golf glove all the time.
Yep.
Okay. Now the other thing I saw, a couple people have the ball marker on their hat.
I have.
You have the hat one?
Yeah.
Okay. So when did that become a thing?
The clip on the hat thing. Well, so last season I forgot my ball marker a lot, and I didn't have one, and I had to like look for it. So I was like, I'm just gonna put one on my hat here, and not have to worry about where it goes. And
as long as you wear the same hat, you're okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I know that you guys had some pretty cool. Hey, can you take a look at this, would you? No, on your phone. Take a look at it. I know that you guys got some really cool golf bags this year.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you just like PGA, you have to run or you have to walk, I should say. So you have to pull your bag. How cool was it to get those nice bags with the Spartan emblem and stuff?
Oh yeah, it was awesome. Especially matches our shirts and our hats this year, and so we're a team obviously, and so everybody has the same bag, and they're obviously really cool, and so it's cool to have them.
So does that mean you get to keep the bag?
Unfortunately not.
Oh,
no, Snyder's making us turn them in at the end of the year.
It stays with the team.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to play another year. You should get to keep yours all summer.
Yeah, I mean,
we should lobby Snyder for that, shouldn't we?
We should.
You should get to use that all summer long. But it's nice to see it. But a lot of the teams have, like Macomb has matching bags.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have matching. Not all the teams do, but a lot of the teams do. Now, when you play up for fun, do you walk or do you take a cart?
Depends on the day. If I'm playing with friends, I usually get a cart. But if I'm playing by myself and it's a nice day, then I'll walk. Just get some time to yourself just to think about stuff and play golf.
Now, every course is different.
Mm-hmm.
What will you be looking for or at tomorrow on your practice round? I mean, obviously you're going to try to get an idea of what the greens, but what specific things will you be looking for?
Definitely getting like yardages and what clubs to use from this spot, and say there's a hole and it's open on the right side but it's tree trouble or water on the left. Know that your miss is definitely right and that you'll have a decent shot into the green. And kind of like I said about yardages is just getting me to a comfortable yardage where I can confidently pick a club and not have to swing super light or just muscle one there and just play the course.
So how many times do you have to I'm just going to pick the 7-iron because that apparently is what Jeff Borges' favorite club is a 7-iron. How many times do you have to swing a 7-iron for you to know that if I swing it as hard as I can swing it, it goes 100 yards. But if I swing it half as hard, it goes 50 yards, which is not the case because it's not that simple. But how many times do you have to know how hard to swing something to get – I mean, I played a little and I have no clue what club goes how far or anything. So how many times do you have to swing that exact club to get any idea on that?
Yeah, it definitely – first couple rounds of the year is usually pretty rough just because you're either undershooting everything or you're overshooting everything. But after probably – 5th or 6th round, you're pretty confident, and okay, I hit my 5-iron 220 yards to 230 yards.
I don't even drive a ball 230 yards.
So yeah, and it's just kind of you just kind of feel for it after a while. And then how bad, like, you hit one bad, it only went 170. Just you got to take that into account too.
Do you ever lay up on the range, for example? Do you ever lay up on clubs a little bit just to see what, if I have to lay something up, this, if I think I'm between a 5 and a 6, for example, should I lay up on the 5 or should I swing the 6 as hard as I can? Do you ever do stuff like that?
Yeah, like because most ranges have like yardage flags on them, so I'll swing like a 5, for example, and I'll do a solid swing, and I'm like, okay, if I did a 75% swing, how far would this go? And so, yeah, just kind of control everything, see where it goes.
Now, obviously, the greens are important. Putting, I think if you can two-putt everything, you're probably good, right?
Yeah.
But so how important tomorrow is getting on greens and putting on greens?
It's definitely important because putting is – you win golf matches by putting. You've heard the saying, drive for show, putt for dough. And so definitely tomorrow, especially on chips and everything, learning how fast it's going to roll out or if it's going to check, and the breaks on the greens and just all that stuff is very important.
So did you watch the football game last Friday night at all? You don't have to lie to me.
Which one was it?
The BPC Decatur Lutheran.
Oh, like
the
maybe
start of
3
it?
minutes of it.
You watched the start of it?
Yeah, not the start of it,
Okay,
no.
so they scored on their first drive, and then they kicked off, and they put – it was like a pitching wedge with reverse. They kicked it, it bounced, and it bounced backwards over the top of Dalton Huffman's head. So can you take your pitching wedge or an iron and put reverse spin on a ball? Are you that good yet?
Oh, yeah, especially when it's, like, wet outside. Like, today at the course, I was hitting a bunch of wedges and stuff, and it would land and a couple would spun off the front of the green. So it's cool to see that happen.
Okay, but can you do it when you want to, or does it just happen?
Well, it just kind of happens. Like, you naturally put spin on the ball when you're hitting down on it, but with higher lofted clubs, obviously, it spins more than, say, a 4 or 5 iron. So, yeah.
So it's kind of like throwing a basketball high in the air with a backspin on it. It bounces way back. If you throw it on, like a low line drive, it doesn't come back.
Yeah, it'll just kind of check up and stop. So
same concept. You just got to know what sport you're watching or
exactly.
playing, right?
Like, if you were to hit a low wedge and it, like, low trajectory, it would just bounce, and stop. But if you were to hit it high, it would land and then spin back. So.
And if you hit a wood, the idea of the woods is they'll roll a long ways, right?
Yeah. You want to get rolled with, like, driver and 3-wood and that type of stuff.
So what's the difference? Okay, everything that's a wood to me is a driver. But I know the driver's like got a head on it like this big, right? So what's the difference between a true driver and a wood?
So a driver
and a wood is not made of wood anymore, correct?
No. So a driver, usually you're going to get hopefully a lot less spin out of a driver because you want it to roll.
So it's like a really flat face club,
and
right?
It's only like majority of people use like probably 9 to 10.5, maybe 11 degree driver, and a 3-wood. And the driver has a big face on it, so it's a hard club to hit, but it's kind of hard to miss it that badly.
You might put whatever angle on it, but you should hit the ball.
You should hit the ball at least, yeah. And a 3-wood is, for most people, 3-wood's pretty easy to control just because it's a lighter head and you can get it through quicker, but it's also a smaller face, so there's
more chance to
toe
it.
Yeah, exactly.
So the toe is the front,
the
heel,
front.
And the heel is the heel at the club?
Yep, the heel's at like the hosel of the club.
Okay, so we've figured out a little bit about how golf works. I still won't be any good at it, and I won't be able to learn anything from it, but hopefully you can do something. I know Coach Snyder's been pretty pumped about this deal. How good's he been to work with through this last year, which was just kind of, hey, let's do this, and then this year's been more like a real season. How fun's it been working with Coach Snyder?
Oh, it's been a blast, especially when we go to the practice rounds. He plays – well, he can't play at the state practice round, but for regional and sectional, we went and played, and it was – getting competitive, lots of trash talk, and
we're going to do In the Cup here right after we're done. We'll leave this interview and go right to In the Cup with Coach Snyder, and you played a hole with Jeff Borders, and we'll have Anna Curley on first. But a couple clips of that looked like Coach Snyder might have been, talking some smack, and they didn't give you the chance. Now, he said. And you'll see, I don't know if you'll watch this later, but you won't be able to hear it here, but he said that you outdrove him on the hole, you guys. But it's the only time all year you outdrove him.
That's a lie.
That's a lie?
I did outdrive him, but I have outdrove him multiple times this year.
Okay. So, see, I thought this would be a good chance for you to defend yourself. Okay, so there's that. Now he pointed out that he's the only one on the green, which he was the only one on the green, but I think you went over the green, right?
I did go over the green, yes.
Did you land on the green and roll off, or did you go over before it landed?
I'm pretty sure I landed over the green, probably on the fringe, and just bounced off and didn't get a lot of spin.
Well, that's where the backspin would have been good, right?
Yeah, it would have been really good there.
So, and then I saw he got a birdie on the hole. You know, he's
did.
played 3 holes with Borders recording him, and he's got a birdie on all 3.
I know. I told him he needs to get a camera on him at all times.
Yeah. And he kind of did a tip of the hat after the. Was that to you?
Probably, yeah. Just kind of showing, hey, I did that.
Yeah.
You know, you saw that.
Yeah. So how much fun is that having a coach that you can play with and know that he can compete with you? A lot of coaches, like if I coached baseball, I couldn't play baseball anymore at the time that I coached baseball. I understood baseball and I could coach baseball, but I couldn't really be a good baseball player. He's obviously still a pretty good golfer. So does that make it a little more fun?
Oh yeah, definitely, because the competition, I love a good competition, and so when playing with him is really fun, and everything he can do, I try to do better. So
let's talk about the other kids on the team. I'm not going to name all of them, but most of them haven't played as much as you, and boys or girls for that matter. So did you kind of take on a coaching role a little bit this fall too?
A little bit, not as much as Snyder, because he tended to follow us around and kind of say what they were doing, and plus we had to walk, so I couldn't really be right next to him the whole time. But over the summer when I was golfing with him, I'd try to like help him out just a little bit. I didn't want to be like that guy that thinks he knows everything.
That's because I'm better than you. You better listen to me, right?
Yeah, I didn't want to be that guy, so I was just kind of helping him but trying to have fun at the same time.
All right. Well, how about we play In the Cup here and see, and you can watch it, and then everybody can see that Coach Schneider was kind of trying to show you up.
All right.
But I do want to point out your swing looks way better than Snyder's.
Thank you. Yeah, I tell Snyder all the time. I say he's always trying to be like me. And
I think it's just because he's left-handed.
Oh yeah,
his swing is ugly because he's left-handed.
It's the lefties. You got to watch out for the lefties.
You got to watch out for the lefties. That is for sure. Dalton, thanks for joining us. I do appreciate it, and good luck this weekend. Bring back some hardware, would you?
I'll do that. I'll try my best.
Okay. And here is In the Cup. Jeff Borders talking to Anna Curley, Coach Schneider, and Dalton Strode. We'll be back in about 10 minutes.
Joined today by Anna Curley. Anna, talked to you a little bit before we started this, and you said this is your second year golfing?
Correct.
What made you want to start golfing last year?
I thought it'd be a fun hobby to start, and I know I'd use it in my future, so I wanted to go ahead and join golf.
Okay. The difference between last year and this year, last year being your first year, you said, and this should be in your second year of golf, how have you seen improvement in your game?
The distance the ball will be able to go, knowing more about my clubs and what I like.
Okay. And I asked him last week when I talked to him, what kind of ball do you like to hit? Do you have a favorite?
A Callaway ball.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just no particular one, just the Callaway?
Yeah.
Okay. What about your clubs? What's your favorite club to use?
7-iron.
The 7-iron? I'm a big 7-iron fan. I figure if I can't hit it with a 7-iron, I don't need to hit it then.
Yeah.
Well, last week was regionals for you, correct? How did you do in regionals?
I was happy with it. It was a challenging course.
Right.
So that was it. But it was fun. Had fun.
And you guys golfed regionals where Dalton golfed sectionals last year, am I correct? And Coach Snyder had said that was a pretty challenging course going into. From last year to this year, are you happy with the improvements that you made and how you finished out the season then?
Yeah, I was happy that I took strokes off of last year's PB, so.
Okay. Well, Anna, we appreciate you taking the time to come out and talk to us, and, good luck in your future endeavors. Coach, here we are this week. We're going to get some shots of Dalton hitting too, but I did tell you if we did this last week, I'd bring my clubs out, so a little comic relief while you two hit balls straight, we'll go find mine over here in the brush behind us.
Hey, you got to find them somewhere.
Let's just hope we find them. So what we're going to do is I'm going to step out here. We're going to let Dalton get a tee shot in, and then we'll come in behind him.
All right.
Coach, we got our drives in. I don't have to go very far to get to mine, at least, but good week for you guys. As I talked with Dalton in his interview, I know you were sitting there, but how's it feel to know that you have one of the first state competitors since 1984 that's not a track and field athlete?
It actually feels pretty good. I know he's putting in a lot of hard work, and I'm just glad to see his hard work starting to pay off.
Well, we saw his tee shot here, and it sounded pretty good. We'll get on down the fairway here and see where we're at, and we'll continue this down the fairway.
All right, sounds good.
Well, Coach, took our second shots here. By the power of camera magic, somehow my ball was right by yours here on the...
Yeah, I was impressed. I think you might have hit a gopher hole or a bird just grabbed it and dropped it up here. I
think it was a sprinkler head.
Okay, yeah, probably one of those two.
So one of the things I'm picking up out here with you guys, you have a lot of fun doing this with the guys.
We do.
Seems like you and Dalton have a pretty good back and forth. I did see who was further out as you took the shot first. You were, further away from the holes. I think Dalton got you on the tee shot there a little bit.
It's about his first time ever, I think, get me off the tee. But if we zoomed in on the green, we'll notice that there's only one ball on the green. So that's more important of a shot, I guess.
Well, Coach, we'll end it right there, and we'll walk up to the green and see who's out now.
All right.
Hopefully Dwayne doesn't use that one. Well, Coach, we've now shot 3 holes together, and you're 3 for 3 on birdies. I have a feeling that I'm going to have to come out a lot more with you.
Absolutely. You know, when I start playing with the guys in the morning, I need that camera following me.
And the one thing that I've obviously learned out here with you two also is my golf game needs a whole lot of work if I want to be out here.
Well, you're not that far off. I mean, you're hitting the ball fairly square, and that's kind of the first step. That's what I want everybody to get to when they're first starting out. If you can hit the ball square, we can work with where it's going to go. If you're not hitting it square, we got to make sure that you can get to where you're going to hit it square every time.
And that's a good tip, you know, and something you've probably used on, as we talked to Anna Curley earlier, only her second year of golfing. And, you know, these are all tips that, you know, I didn't get growing up playing golf. It was put it on the tee and just crank away at it. So it's good that these kids have this kind of coaching right now.
Well, I mean, I'm not a great golf coach or whatever. I mean, I just love the sport, and I've learned so much in growing up and working at a golf course and following guys really a lot better than me at golf and trying to pick up stuff, that little tidbits that they'll give me so I can pass on to the that I coach.
Well, Coach, we're going to wrap it up that one there, and we wish you and Dalton luck this weekend at 8. Hopefully have some good returns. We talk next week.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks again for everything, you guys. I enjoy watching you guys on TV and on YouTube and everything, and every sport, basketball, and being able to get some stuff with golfers has been awesome. Watching football games, long road games.
I'm still trying to get that one so we can cover a whole Ralph. Dwayne's kind of fun on that for me right now. No.
And actually, we had our coaches meeting for the state tournament today at 2:15, and the drum was actually a piece of talk, because there's a drum. They're going to sound a siren, and you just head in because they don't know why it's there or whatnot. So that was a little tidbit that I learned in our coaches meeting. So
well, it will not be a TSSR Game Time live drone, I can promise you.
I don't think it's going to be you guys, but again, you never know. I don't know what Dwayne's budget is, so we'll see.
Well, Coach, we appreciate it, and we'll see you next week.
All right, sounds good.
Welcome back to TSSR Weekly, and somebody didn't plug the computer in. So I'm going to turn the headlights or the highlights over to Kenny.
And we'll get this started up.
See if we can't get the computer plugged in here. And we're going to start off with West Prairie BPC Volleyball. Is that right?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, well, let's take a look.
Just for it to hit off the far side of her hand and land right into the opposite side of the field where she was wanting to hit it.
She did
but it ended up working out.
She did it on purpose, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely on purpose.
Well, let's go on to BPC Junior Varsity Football. How about that?
Alrighty.
and that's what happened to North Fulton there.
It's just really hard, especially when you have your men outside to each side. You got a perfect coverage like this going down the line. But if one guy comes over here, then you've got a perfect side to come around this far side, as I can't really do mirroring well. As he did, finds that side lane where they were not in and go for the touchdown.
As we said, BPC's varsity football team had a rough night on Friday night as Jeff Borders and I made the run to Decatur for the Lutheran School Association game over there, and it was all Lutheran all the time in the first half. Beating in that game. I said that Sam was going to be sore because he not only did he take a beating offensively, he was giving beatings defensively, and he definitely was probably tired on that bus ride home. Good thing they had good thing they had the tour bus.
2 hours to sleep it
out.
off. And as we'll get set up, our last game for this will be the West Prairie homecoming game against the South Fork Ponies that we got to call. Believe it, yes, Friday night.
Yes, it was. It ended up being. We saw it was 20-8 going into the fourth quarter. Jeff and I was like, West Prairie won. Well, they'll be, whatever.
It was a close game.
It ended up being a lot different than we anticipated. So we'll let you take this one away.
we've seen him many times in practice utilize the field goal. He's kicked it out of the end zone. But the first time in a game for the game winner, he went out there like Adam Vinatieri and knocked that one completely in.
Yeah, well, one more set of highlights. We've been on for over an hour now, so we need to get this wrapped up. We'll show some girls girls golf. That's it. I can't even talk. Volleyball. I've been doing too much volleyball, but
your dad, your grandma, somebody. Because if you're in Bush, your dad, your grandma, somebody. Because if you're in Bush now, I probably had him in school. Probably.
You know Kelly Zarilla?
I almost could tell you that's who you were. I could almost say that. Because, you tell
That's
Gail.
my mom.
You tell Kelly that Gail Hammond said hi.
All right, I will.
All right, cool.
Yeah, welcome back here, TSSR Weekly. Great group of young lady golfers there. Ended their season last Thursday, so was a fun watching them golf a couple times. I want to thank Coach Snyder for getting us the highlights so that we could do that and bring you guys some highlights of all the girls golfing. So we greatly appreciate that. Real quick, before we get out of here, the show's ran probably long enough for the night, I would imagine, for anybody keeping track. We're at an hour and almost 50. Tonight, BPC hosts Lewiston in volleyball. That'll be here on TSSR Game Time Live, presented by MDH. We don't have anything Friday, but we got 2 games on Saturday. St. Thomas More out of Champaign makes the trip across to West Prairie. That game starts at 1 o'clock. Kenny will be on the call for that, and some of his friends, I hope.
Yep, I can get some.
And then BPC travels, as we've said, to South Fork to play to Kincaid to play South Fork, I should say. That game's a weird Saturday time of 6 p.m. Miles is going to be on the camera down there with Jeff and Chris. So that'll be a nice long trip for Miles. He's looking forward to it, I can tell already. And then we're off until Tuesday. And then we have 2 volleyball games on Tuesday. West Prairie plays host to Lewiston in Scioto, and BPC plays host to Havana here in Bushnell. And then on Thursday, BPC plays host to South Fulton in Bushnell as well. Friday, Galva makes a trip to West Prairie for football next week. And BPC plays host on Saturday to Occoquan Catholic. I think that's Freeport. That's a 1 o'clock game. We do also have the BPC Varsity tournament all day on Saturday as well. So we'll be playing a lot of those high school games from the high school. They're actually playing both gyms, but we're going to do most all the games from the high school on Saturday as well. So we'll have football and volleyball from BPC on Saturday as part of a great weekend next weekend at Bushnell. And then it slows down a little bit. We don't have anything until the next Wednesday, which is Payson Seymour at West Prairie. They play a lot of Wednesday games at West Prairie. So things are starting to slow down. We're looking at the postseason. Cross country's at the postseason now. Golf, obviously, state tournament this weekend. So a lot of stuff is winding down for the fall season. Postseason starts for football, and they've still got 2, or this will be including this weekend, 3 more games before they get to postseason. But regionals for volleyball start right about the same time. And as we said earlier, I think the regionals are at West Prairie, so we'll have all those games here on TSSR Game Time Live, presented by MDH on the Hewlett Public Pro LLC Facebook channel. So we've worked through a show. We got the whole show through. We found a few hiccups and corrections we need to make for next time, but we are working. I want to thank Dalton Strode for coming and talking to us. Miles for almost staying awake the whole show.
Yeah, almost.
And for Kenny Suter doing most all the video highlights. Do greatly appreciate that. And Kenny, what do you think? It seems like we should be getting busier, but it's kind of slowing down a little bit for us.
It's kind of slowing down a little bit, but that's just a false sense of security once basketball season starts up, and then we'll be going all over the world for that.
Yes, we will be busier than heck for basketball season. So for Kenny Suter, for Miles Hewlett, and for everybody that joined us, thanks for joining us. I'm Dwayne Hewlett. We'll see you next week here on TSSR Weekly from JoJo's Lounge in Bushnell. So make sure you come out and join us. We had a little bit of group for former athletes here from back in the day. One class behind me, class of 93, I do believe all these guys were. So Kenny, that's old. I get it. I saw the eye roll. I appreciate that, bud. So thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week here from JoJo's.